This episode, as with all episodes of Starbase 80 Disco Nights, is a big spoiler zone. Oh my gosh, so many spoilers. So if you haven't seen this episode, which is Erigah this time around from Star Trek Discovery, if you have not yet watched that, you should go see that before you watch us. I mean, we love it when you watch us. Don't get us wrong. We love that. But yeah, lots of spoilers. So, hey, let's get started, huh? Oh my goodness! Star Trek Discovery fans, we're so happy if you've joined us, and maybe at some point you have. Why am I talking to you if you haven't? Of course you've joined us. Thank you for joining us. And my co-host every week, the Commander Joe to my Captain John, it's Joe Townsell, everybody. Hello, Joe.
Hello, John. How is everyone doing? How are you doing, John? A busy man.
Oh, we're starting this one so late. But Joe is such a champ, and he never gave up on me. At least not that he told me.
No. I hung right in there, and I would have been there till the end of time if necessary, or at least the afternoon.
And there's a very good reason why Joe is such a nice guy. It's because he is an artist. He's a writer. He's a novelist and a sci-fi writer. And have you checked out joetownsell.com? You really should. Joe built that website himself for all these books that he's written and shared with the world. And he's in the process of writing more books. Yes, sir. So joetownsell.com, that's where you want to go. If you want to find out about the pre-existing books as well as the future books, as well as future Joe Townsell projects. He's very good about putting, his videos. Oh, Joe and I have been talking about expanding his empire. You're going to want to be part of that. I can't believe we've been talking. I've been pitching Joe new shows for us to work on together, and there's one starring Joe that I haven't mentioned in a while. And Joe's he so doesn't have an ego.
You're too kind.
No, just the truest thing in the whole world. You're such a good, selfless guy. That thank goodness we get to at least pay tribute to your artistry.
Well, thank you, sir. And yes, absolutely, everybody. There's definitely more fun stuff in the works, and stay tuned is all we can say right now.
Yeah. As Joe said, from one of our recent discussions of other projects that we're working on, he said, we might actually become a franchise much like Star Trek. And I think it's possible.
I do too. I mean, there's spin-offs, offshoots, special editions, all kinds of stuff we can do for the folks. And I think it's all going to be just great fun, and we're going to love it.
Absolutely. Well, here we are ready to talk about the most recent episode of Star Trek Discovery. And oh my gosh, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, Lo. It's so great. Joe is a master. He absolutely is.
Are you sure Lo's talking to me? I thought he was saying that to you, John. Oh, maybe to both of us.
Honestly, who's the creative one here? Let's start talking about this episode. And in order to talk about this episode of Star Trek Discovery, we need to break it all down with
Break it down.
Robbie.
Got the decent bullet point.
Part of the show where Joe Townsell takes us through the beat, and one of my favorite parts is listening to how Joe uses the words. Oh, hello, Mexico! Viva la Mexico! We do love Mexico.
Thank you so much. We're international, John, not just interstellar, but international.
I love it. I love it. And unfortunately, all the Spanglish I know is pretty much, So, Joe, if you know any Spanish at all, you just feel free to throw it out there for Lo. Although Lo, your English is excellent.
Of
Uh,
course.
Joe Townsend, what are the beats that we want to take a look at for this episode of Star Trek Discovery, being Erigah?
John, we got some beats, and here they come, coming at you. Now, as this week's episode begins, Burnham and Book are celebrating Valentine's Day. They're sitting down to a nice, romantic Klingon cuisine dinner, ready to dig into some fresh Erigah. Now, as you know, I will go to any lengths necessary to make the most worst of puns. That was totally false, as you probably knew.
You were scaring the hell out of me. I was like, wait, what did I watch?
Did we watch the same thing?
Oh no! Did I watch the wrong episode in addition to everything else I got wrong this weekend?
I mean, again, a lame pun in Erigah, but how can I resist? I had to build a whole scenario around it. The episode actually begins when Disco meets up with the USS Lockerer, which has captured Maul and Locke. Now, I have to ask, as an aside, could we have come up with a better name for that ship? We have Locke, the Brain. We have the Lockerer, the starship. I wonder if Davy Jones is the captain of the Lockerer, so it's Davy Jones Lockerer. I don't know. Name it anything else. Name it
everybody in the morning having bagels and Lockerer. Like, I agree. The Lockerer. Usually they'll say like the Rio Grande, or the Celestial, like things that you would call a ship. They're calling a ship the Lockerer.
I mean, name it the Lollipop for that matter. I mean, something else.
Josh Postel's with us. He says they're running out of names in the 32nd century.
It must be. I mean, they got all kinds of letters of the alphabet. They can reuse old ones, but that's their call.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? It's not important right now, as they'd say on Airplane, because, hey, look who's back on the disco. We've got Non. Now, we're not talking, of course, about the Kryptonian mute villain from Superman 2. We're talking about the security chief who came over with Captain Pike way back in the 23rd century. So that's a cool little return for this character. We love her. Now, she has Non and Locke. Non and Locke. Non has Locke and Maul in custody. Yeah. And she also has Velik's original journal in her hot little hands.
Right, and they had the journal, yeah.
They have the journal, and she ain't none too happy to see Book trying to poke his nose into that business. So we'll see how that turns out. She don't trust him too much. Now, Locke has been beamed to sickbay from the stolen ISS Enterprise warp pod, and he's still ailing from taking a knife to a phaser fight a couple episodes ago. So got to tend to that.
Yeah. Took a knife to a phaser fight. That's a good joke right there.
Oh, I that's why I had to use it again. Thank you.
That's just a good joke. Objectively.
I have to say. Now, Doc Culber takes a break from his spiritual journey to do his day job. I'm a doctor, Michael, not a faith healer. Well, okay. But you know what? Don't we have one of those super cool refrigeration units in storage? Let's get one of those and put Locke suffering on ice, shall we? Okay, let's do that.
A Breen refrigeration unit in storage
from 800 years before.
That's crazy.
I mean, I talk about holding on to stuff you may use again someday. Probably should have taken it to Goodwill, but hey, at least they have it when they need it, centuries later. Now, Admiral Vance, he's initiating a kind of a closed door policy, and he won't let Mikey in.
Right.
So, and as you might recall, this is the first time the bad old Buckethead Breen have trespassed into Federation space since the Dominion War. And of course, this is a DS9 reference, the first of a few. And look, episode title alert. There's that pesky old Breen blood bounty, the Erigah.
The Erigah.
And it's on Locke and Maul's pretty little heads, both of them.
Yes.
Now, as we saw in episode 4, Face the Strange, it would be very bad news if the Breen got their hands on the progenitor tech. So, Admiral Vance's solution, get Disco the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Well, Mikey disrespectfully disagrees, not even waiting for permission to speak freely.
By all
Rainer
means,
must be
speak freely.
Yeah, well, you have it now. Now you open your mouth, and all I can say is that Rainer must be rubbing off on her, and not in the best way.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you know, her point is, why send your best 900-year-old ship zipping around the galaxy? Let's make our stand right here at Starfleet HQ, where the Breen can cause the most damage. Makes sense to me, John. And I guess to Vance too, because he just shrugs and allows the disco to stay put. So,
well,
that just
what was funny about that was I thought, well, at least you're cutting out like some nothing episodes that way. I mean, if they're just like, and now the plot of the whole, overlying plot of the adventure is we just run from the Breen. Like, yeah, that's not gonna be great TV. This sounds like a writer's meeting, is what I'm saying.
Exactly right. And of course, it harkens back a little bit. It just occurred to me that, the first few minutes of First Contact, they send Picard away in the hell and gone by the neutral zone. He says, to heck with this. We need to be back where the action is. So,
right. Yeah.
Glad to see some good old Captain Cojones in the form of Michael Burnham, too. We always like that.
Right through it. That's a great thing about Burnham. Cuts right to the chase.
That's exactly right.
From the chase.
Hey, now, John, listen, also on board, we have Tarina, Vulcan president.
Yeah.
A long time we see there. But we have to ask, where's her fiance? Where's our old buddy Saru?
So crazy.
Well, I will say that behind the scenes, Doug Jones is making the circuit tour promoting Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh, really?
So that explains the actor's absence. So in case you were worried, but he will be back this season, and we'll have more to say about that, I think.
Oh, wow.
So it's time for Tarina to head Confab to deal with the growing crisis. So they put together a little intimate war room scenario. Now, the Breen, they've been minding their own business since before the burn, but the Feds have shivers running down their spines when the Breen tell them, we're back.
Yeah.
Rainer further endears himself to his superiors and doesn't mince words, proclaiming that all Breen are the same. Screw that. We don't fire first, BS. We should draw first blood. Shoot now and ask questions later is Rainer's attitude. Okay, but would a Breen Primarch come all the way to the Federation HQ? Remember, there is a Breen Civil War brewing, and look, gang, more Starfleet ships are en route. But I have to ask, why is the show's main ship always the only one in range? Why are there no other ships protecting Starfleet HQ in the first place? They all seem to be out on war games,
Yeah. No, that is a very good question. Like, everybody's that far away. I mean, I guess there aren't that many ships in the fleet to begin with. So, and space is big. I don't know. I'm trying to.
No, I think actually, it's not just simple justification. I mean, it is a Starfleet that's rebuilding, so we'll cut them some slack. But it just, as luck would have it, Discovery's the only one there. Okay, for now. So Rena's, Tarina's immediate solution is, hey, let's come up with some stalling tactics and pronto. Get some time on our side. Now, meanwhile, Rainer, well, you just wait outside and take your bigotry with you. We'll have a little chat here in a little bit.
You darn xenophobe.
I tell you, it's right. What's going on? There must be something happening in this experience.
Right.
Maybe we'll find out about that later too, huh? Spoiler alert.
Bing.
Bing. So, Michael, your mission, whether or not you choose to accept it, go get the scuttlebutt from Locke. You want to stick around? Go take care of that if you're going to do anything. Now, Burnham, she must have been watching another show on Paramount Plus recently, so she missed flashbacks from previous episodes. So she heads over to sickbay to drag some info out of Locke. Okay, that's a good start. Now, after some prodding, Locke tells Mikey that he was in line for the Breen Imperium throne as the Scion. He is the Scion. And Locke's attitude was, F that. Just like Harry and Meghan Markle in the 21st century, he don't want any part of that royalty BS.
Damn.
And by the way, Captain, if you see my uncle, please do me a favor and just hawk a big loogie right in his face.
Okay.
Sure, why not?
I mean, he's a brain. It would just be like,
yeah, you just have to use the windshield wipers.
yeah, it wouldn't take his mask off. So
yeah, that's probably why they wear them. They get spit on a lot.
You one-eyed son of a gun.
Damn Cylon wannabe. Now, meanwhile, the writers have remembered, hey, there are other Disco crew members on the ship to put in this story, so we better do that. So let's cut over to Stamets, who intercepts Tilly. And you know what? She's ready just to leave this hassle behind and get back to her Starfleet Academy students.
Yeah.
And Stamets reminds her, hey, it's not quite time for your spinoff just yet. So we still have a few more episodes of this show to do. So chill. We need your help. Okay.
Right.
So it's time to form 2 detective duos. Duo number 1. Stamets and Book begin deciphering and decoding the weird Betazoid library card, now known as the Labyrinths of the Mind. Next episode title alert.
Labyrinths, yes.
Well, they make great progress despite some extreme close-ups of Book's mouth and right eye. Not since similar shots of Sarek in Star Trek 3. We had some flashbacks so oddly disturbing. What do you think, John? Is that a good close-up of me?
Oh, good Lord. Good heavens.
It's scary, isn't it? And Book's a good-looking guy. It's scary. So with me, it's going to be pretty nightmarish.
That was the one moment. I know this is the thing I normally say later, but I don't want to forget it. That was the one moment where I go, oh man, he's got some nice eyebrows. He really did some nice eyebrows.
It wasn't an unpleasant sight, just a little bit jarring, It's like
jarring.
Jarring. How about need some personal space, Book, just...
Don't
unless you're just kind of you got some weird fetishes going on, you want to give a little kissy to the screen.
Hey, no judgment from us. No judgment zone.
No judgment at all. No judgment zone. I'll tell you what, John, you've been talking about doing some shorts. So this moment here is one of them.
Good Lord. Get David Ayala. Stat.
Now, of course, we have duo number 2. Tilly and Adira get to work trying to make heads or tails out of the inscription on the same Betazoid library card. So, we got a couple things going on here.
Yeah.
But first, priorities, John. What's the most important thing in a crisis where time is of the essence? Why, some good old Starfleet Academy team building and positive reinforcement. Good job, Adira, Tilly says, patting her protege on the head. Now, let's find Reno and get to work. Because Zora has told them, hey, Reno's your gal. Because she has some weird, some interesting experience may help you out. Okay, cool.
Yep.
And finally, as a result, Adira is finally over her guilt over bringing the time-twisting spider bot onto the ship 2 episodes ago. Good. What's done is done. Let's move forward.
Learned to check ourselves for ticks. We're now learning to check ourselves for chronophages. It's just one of those things. Life is
you live and learn, right, John?
Exactly. Live and learn. That's damn.
Now, it turns out the only surviving edition of Labyrinths of the Mind is the original manuscript. So, inexplicably, as mentioned, Reno is the only one who knows all about these rare books. Now, it turns out she also has the journal of Dr. Henry Jones, revealing the location of the Holy Grail. And, of course, again, I'm kidding.
Oh, my God. Okay, again, I was like, it was really late when I was watching it. Did I miss it?
John, I have a feeling I'm going to be able to put something over on you once or twice in this episode. So I'm having a great time making the attempt.
At this point right now, if you stole my nose, I would totally go into full-scale panic that I'm never going to get my nose back. And that's
there
this
is.
nose.
Oh,
why? No, I need that. I don't know. Could I have a smaller one? Do you have a smaller one in your pocket? Yeah.
Okay, so Zora, ship's computer with the alluring, sexy voice, points Tilly and Adira to Reno, as we've said. Turns out the dry-witted engineer did pad her resume. Hey, who hasn't? I have. But she did some freelance smuggling for a less than ethical archivist. So that's an important detail.
Yeah.
Reno concludes that Betazoid Doc Derricks would have also wanted to hide her clue very carefully. Otherwise, the episodes this season would be very short if they were too easy to find. So, so Reno suggests, hey, let's have a look-see at the Eternal Gallery and Archive. Fancy name for a mobile bookmobile in space.
Reading is fundamental.
Yes, it is. Especially when you're trying to find the solution to the mysteries of life, the universe, and everything, as we're doing this season.
Exactly.
The gallery is a space library that moves from one locale to the next, just to make it tricky to find it. So, again, it can't be too easy.
Yeah.
But that nifty little prop, the metal library card, will help. Sounds bueno, Reno, Tilly says. I'm sure we'll get to that next episode, especially considering that episode's title. So, hey, we're still hot on the trail. Now, Tilly at this point is in silent reflection, marveling at how much overdue fees must be for the Labyrinth's manuscript when, calculated at 5 cents a day for over 800 years, those fines must be off the charts. So, wow. Better get that book back to the library.
Sorry, I've been flirting with Lo this whole time. Go ahead.
Oh, the Breen Dreadnought arrives, dwarfing the Disco and even Starfleet HQ itself.
Damn, that it's so funny. As soon as I saw the Breen Dreadnought, I was like, "Oh my god, that's going to be the biggest Lego model that Star Trek has ever had made." It just reminded me of like the Lego Death Star. Like, holy cow,
Whoa!
that thing is big. Very impressive.
Very impressive. Now, it's so impressive, in fact, it throws Zora for a loop. She misidentifies the Dreadnought as the space battleship Yamato, which, of course, I'm kidding again. Tarina negotiates 4 hours to stall. She gets that much time.
Right.
That's only about 20 minutes of episode time, so they better, they better book it. Pardon the pun.
Right.
But whatever happens, handing over Locke and Maul is not an option. Okay. At least that turns out to be half true. Again, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Now, Locke tells Burnham that resistance is futile. He turns his not-so-subtle attention to concocting an escape route for Maul. Hey, that unsecured tricordrazine dispenser right next to Locke's arm may come in very handy.
Oh, that was okay. So dumb.
Hey, you're a heroin ad. Here's a needle for you. We'll just put it there. Don't touch it, though.
Yeah, we could just lie on this bed, which is actually a giant bag of Vicodin. You'll be fine.
Yeah, no problem. just don't fidget too much. Well, it is time now for Raynor to explain his bad attitude, a recurring theme in this season, of course.
Yeah.
So Michael puts on her best understanding psychologist persona. So as Raynor wrings his hands from the angst, he shares his personal painful history with the Breen, who once occupied his home planet of Kelleran. Holy Bajor, Batman. Raynor was the only survivor in his family, so no wonder he doesn't have a soft spot for the Breen.
And they ruined his planet, which apparently in the future people care about.
Yeah.
Because
they're just not nice folks, those bucketheads, But,
opposite of Mandalorians is what I'm thinking.
Exactly. But on the upside, hearing Raynor's depressing backstory gives Michael an inspired new idea. Oh, okay. Now, the Run, who is the name, of course, of the Breen leader of the episode, he beams in at HQ with a whole bunch of troops. Tarina makes a counteroffer of a year's supply of dilithium and turtle wax, the latter to keep the Breen Dreadnought shiny and sparkly. Well, the Primarch refuses, so much for friendly negotiations. No, sorry.
Right.
But Tarina has another trick up her Vulcan sleeve. She decides to hand the prisoners over to the Primarch. Say what? But it's all clever ruse, John, because Burnham and Raynor play their parts in this trick, using the XO's knowledge of the rival Primarch to bring it home. Despite his machismo and bravado, and misogyny possibly,
yeah,
Primarch Run can't risk killing Locke, the Scion, even though he doesn't want the job. So the Primarch's bluff is called. So how about this, Mr. Badass Ruin? We'll just keep the prisoners. Without Locke, the Breen Civil War will come to a standstill. The Primarch agrees, proving the Breen will never be renowned for their negotiation and diplomacy skills, let alone intelligence. But he says, you better keep Locke alive, you Federation scumbags. Sure, no problem. Well, maybe.
Cross your fingers.
Cross your fingers. In sickbay, to provide the needed distraction for Maul to flee the coop, Locke ODs on his meds. Oh, boy.
Terrible.
Well, the force field containing the prisoners is dropped. Cobra rushes in to save the Breen, so Maul rushes out. In the resulting melee, she easily takes out a well-trained, experienced Starfleet security officer. Okay.
Stuntman. And his fellow officers, also stuntmen.
Yes.
I was like, why do these Federation guys have long ponytails? Because stuntmen tend to have long ponytails.
This makes sense. Needless to say, Nan is none too happy with her own performance, nor that of her staff. So Maul gets out the door and the chase is on. So what the heck? Now it's a good time to check in with Stamets and Book, right? What are they up to? Well, Book wants to head out to track down Maul.
Yeah.
Well, Stamets reminds Book that they have other incompetent Starfleet officers to apprehend her. So
we already have people get their asses kicked by Maul.
Yeah, we need you right now to keep studying this little metal library card. I mean, it takes priority. We got this red directive thing, remember? So tell you what, why don't you use your glowing forehead empathy thing to see if you can just maybe make a little connection to the library card. See where it might be hiding out. The manuscript, that is.
It makes sense though, because it's from oh my god, it's from
it's Betazoid.
Betazoid. It's Betazoidian.
it's Betazoidian, and you know what? It makes total sense. And this is, I think, the first time we've seen a psychic or empathic imprint onto an object. But it makes sense to me. I had no issue whatsoever. I thought it was clever, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. I don't have a big problem with that. I mean, psychic people would use their psychic abilities as part of their communication. So even if you're just putting an imprint, if you can put an imprint on an object, I would think they would. Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, Book does his job, and he just sees visions of a brewing plasma storm, a weird orange-looking thing, which looks a little familiar in Star Trek's past. Maybe we'll find out where it is exactly. But we do, the word eternal pops into his head, and thinking, well, the Eternal Gallery and Archive, maybe? Well, of course, duh. So Stamets tells Beck, okay, you did your job. Now go out and find Maul. Yeah. Well, after duping the Breen at Starfleet HQ, Burnham beams into Disco sickbay, and boy, somebody really dropped the ball in this scenario.
Yeah.
Primarch shows up with the doc. Like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV, the Primarch says, if he dies, he dies. Nah, not really. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. The Primarch warns that if Locke croaks, there will be hell to pay, Federation lackeys.
Absolutely.
Yep. Nan has a change of heart about Book as the two locate Maul. She has taken a hostage who she intends to use as a shield to get to the shuttle bay. Now, from that shuttle, she'll beam out Locke and warp the hell out of there. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Well, not quite. Better get back to sickbay, Book tells Maul. Your boyfriend's not long for this world or any other. So Maul arrives in the nick of time to share the heartbreaking death scene of her Breen boyfriend.
Shocker, by the way. Shocker. They actually
didn't see it coming. At least not this soon in the season.
Oh my god, yeah. No, he's dead. This is wild.
This is wild. And it may or may not put a hole in one of our mutual predictions, but again, we got 3 episodes left. So more on that in the prediction section.
Yeah.
Well, of course, now the Primarch is really pissed. Forget about that nonsense we agreed to earlier. This is Fargan War. So
Johnny Dangerously reference, folks.
exactly right. Very good, John.
A really pretty one, too.
That's right. Well, the cavalry finally arrives as 4 more Starfleet ships come out of warp and stomp on the brakes. It's a Mexican standoff. Who will fire first? Will the Breen get the progenitor tech and lay the quadrant to waste?
Uh-oh.
Tune in next week. Same Trek channel, same Trek time. No, we're kidding. There's still more episode left. Don't panic.
Let's see. I was getting ready to go to the next segment. All right. Yeah. Go right
You had your finger on that button, didn't you, John?
Finger right hovering over the button for down and dirty. But yeah. No. There's still more plot. You're right.
There's still more plot. But it doesn't look very good at this point. With Locke dead, the Primarch can now seize the opportunity to bring together the Breen under his expert leadership.
Yeah.
But not so fast, Primarch. Maul shows off her scar on her arm, one that matches Locke's. Maul is Locke's widow now.
Yeah.
She's part of a package deal. As the tears begin to flow, Maul tells her dying hubby
That's awesome.
that this is not how our story ends, but sadly it will. Now, John, you had a comment to make. I probably stepped on a little bit.
Oh no, I was just it's so cute that there's like their matching scars are they're brands. They look like brands in their skin. And that's like, haha, we were married. We eloped. So
not only that, but we've got, and I'm not flipping you off, this is the other finger, but we got tattooed ring fingers here,
Right. Classic. Everything about this is so classic.
Now, in addition, Maul snitches on the Federation, revealing that it is hiding info on the progenitor tech. And she knows how to get her hot little hands on it. So Primarch Ruin demands that Burnham surrender Maul, or they'll blast Starfleet out of the stars. Well, hold on, Ruin. Give us a minute to mull this over. I'll give you 5 minutes for you and your gallant crew. So Book can't believe the higher-ups are even considering such a chicken shit move.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, he really cares about Maul, so this makes sense that he'd have a big problem with it.
I've been remiss in not reminding everyone that, yes, there is a connection there. There's that word again, but she is like family to him.
Yeah.
From way back. So, it isn't just an empty gesture on his part. There's a real motivation there for him to protect her. I get that. But as the others point out to Book, hey, this is a really clever plot device. So no, we're going to outvote you on this one, Book. And not using these words, but Tarek reminds them, or Tarina rather, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So, hey.
Oh. Nice.
Of course, there is no selfish act on Maul's part. She's hoping she can use the progenitor tech to bring Locke back to life, and hopefully not as some kind of Breen zombie. We don't want that. Now, the logical Vulcan Prez Tarina says, works for me. Maul is beamed over to the Breen dreadnought, which lumbers forward, then warps away. We will live to fight another day, in other words. So Vance declares the race with the Breen is on once again.
Yeah.
The research teams have put the next piece in the puzzle. It's almost complete. Next stop in the next episode, the Mobile Eternal Archive, again like a 20th century bookmobile, is currently parked in the Badlands. And now we have a Voyager reference. I thought that plasma storm in Book's vision looked very familiar.
Oh, that's where those Badlands are from.
Yes, they are. We saw them in DS9 initially when Voyager started and subsequently. Those are the Badlands. They no longer have like little tornadoes, in space, but that's where we are.
Oh, cool.
So to wrap things up, after yet another moment where Michael placates Rayner, what else can our Disco Captain do but give her order to hightail it to the Badlands? So, John, with that, we fade to Black Alert.
Oh, my goodness. So beautiful. Beautiful. Just perfect little distillation. And now let's talk about what any of this means and things that have changed. And I gotta say, this episode was really serious. Not that I want low stakes. I love high stakes. But
yes.
We find out that Locke is basically a prince, or what's a grandson of an emperor usually?
Well, they identify him as the Scion, so
Did you say scion? So
yeah.
that works. And whoever has, I mean, that's the thing. So he's working for Rune, but basically like an errand boy, low level stuff. Because all Rune needs is for him to be part of Rune's crew. And then Rune can say, we deserve to be the rulers of all the Breen because I got the Scion basically running, talking with the person we buy our dilithium crystals from. Working in the back room, working in the stock room. I am the grandson of the emperor, but I guess in Breen politics that makes you the head Breen. But what did you think that Primarch was like? What could we compare that to that we know of other monarchies?
Oh, all I can say is that he's a power hungry weasel. He shifts gears constantly to suit the current situation, whatever he thinks is going to benefit him the most.
Mm.
And again, I didn't find him to be terribly intelligent or insightful.
Yeah, he
So
didn't
kind of
seem
just
to be
kind
a
of just a low down. He's just a low down guy
yeah.
that has a huge badass ship at his disposal, essentially.
Yeah. Craig, those cows were eating a lot of edibles. The stakes were high. Craig, I love when Flobo's here because boy does he hate puns. We like them, so that was very cool.
But he did a great one in on Facebook, and never even occurred to me when he saw the promo graphic and dubbed me the Townsellorian. I thought that was just awesome.
Oh, and I've always had this joke that the Breen were like the dollar store Mandalorians.
Yes.
I always imagine like meaning this is the way.
I did find it very impressive also that Tarina speaks Breen. Why wouldn't the Vulcan president be multilingual?
So smart.
And I could just see the dumbfounded expression behind the Primarch's helmet.
Yeah.
Like, oh crap, she understands me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also get that they have their own, this is their new way of being. Apparently, Locke, who's basically like a kind of cool lizard guy, he is in touch with, he's like the hippie version of a Breen because he's dressing in the way they used to dress, but now they're like these translucent. They look like undersea creatures to me now. And he doesn't wear that face. He wears the old face.
Right.
That's kind of cool. It's
very cool. Yeah.
I love that the Breens are the big bads. Breen, I'm sorry. That's plural is Breen. I love that. I love that a race that we knew very little about, except for and somebody reminds us, whose saying is it? Never turn your back on a Breen.
That was a Romulan saying.
That's a Romulan saying. That's very cool because this is kind of a Romulan mystery, since there was a Romulan scientist in charge of the Progenitor project.
Yes.
Trying to hide all of this stuff in all these clues and everything. It's just very cool. It's very cool. I'll give them credit.
I mean, you know what? This it definitely. I'm not going to go on and say that any of these are a so-called filler episode. Others have advanced the overall season arc more than others.
Right.
It was definitely a bottle episode, but a good one. We've had terrible bottle episodes over the decades. We had, oh Lord, Shades of Grey, TNG. That was by far the worst. But then a couple years later, we had the Drumhead.
Yeah.
For the cost of one guest star.
Yeah.
And everything on existing sets, it was an exceptional episode. And I think this falls right in there because made use of existing sets for the most part. And it made it all very tight, very claustrophobic at times in terms of what was going on.
Yeah.
Very effective.
The one of the ultimate stakes of the high stakes, cows eating edibles, it's all I can think now, is this used to happen back in the movies, and it happened uh with the robot people, the robot zombie people. God, I'm so exhausted.
The robots. Can you be more
Yeah,
specific, John?
7 of 9 was
A Borg.
a Borg. It was always like the Borg are getting closer to the solar system. The Borg are getting past Saturn. The Borg are almost past Mars. That used to be like one of the scariest things that would happen in Star Trek is they're getting closer and closer to Earth. They would do this on Enterprise too. The big bads are getting closer. And in this one, it's like, nope, they're here. They're just here, which is scary, and the stakes are high, and that's great. So I don't know. I like how this episode was done. I have to say, I just really like the Maul and Locke story. I look at myself I turn to the mirror while I'm watching this, and I'm like, you are really like happy about this. You're like ecstatic about this story. When normally I'm like, oh, great. There's like a teenage girl who doesn't like anybody, but she likes her boyfriend. And that's normally I hate that stuff, but they got to me with these characters. These characters mean something to me. And that's very cool.
Well-developed and fleshed out characters are always going to enhance the story we're watching, and
Listen to the author.
They've done a great job with these too.
The author
story isn't over yet.
Yes. So good for them. And yeah, it's so funny in many ways. I could see it was a bottle episode, but I kept telling myself, no, this has all moved it forward, especially when Locke is dead. He's dead because he made a stupid calculation, and that happens. And opiates are serious things, folks. You know that. Well, they know that in the 32nd century too. Now,
yeah.
And dude's gone. Dude's dead. So the stakes really couldn't be higher.
I have a few more quick bullets for Down and Dirty, and then I'll be done with that category myself.
Hammer him. Hit him.
Good to see Non again, as I alluded to earlier.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Flobo.
I thought that Burnham recalling the Klingon War and her mutinous part in it way back in season 1 was a very nice continuity touch.
Yes. Good point.
Right. And overall, it's good to see, even though at first I thought, okay, it's kind of an afterthought, but we saw great teamwork with Stamets, Book, Tilly, Adira, and Reno doing their jobs while Burnham and Raynor are doing theirs. There was a lot going on. Nobody's sitting around doing nothing. Yeah. There's a common goal here, and they're all working toward it.
Very Star Trek. And of course it's a Star Trek show, but I always feel it's great, especially when some old hands like us like to point out, no, this is Star Trek, what we're watching. This is what a Star Trek show does. You've got super smart people trying to solve these mysteries, and we have multiple mysteries and multiple teams of people in this episode, and that's Star Trek at its best.
Yeah, there's no A, B, or C plot fighting. It's all just different elements of the same main story. And I do have 2 minor nits.
Ooh, pick those nits, will you?
Pick those nicks. Raynor holding back his experience with the Breen was a misstep for me. Okay. I don't care how painful it is. He is a former captain. He is a current XO. He should have spilled those guts at the very beginning, because it was useful information that he held back, and that didn't sit well with me.
Now, when were they aware? Let's just get a picture in our minds. When were they aware that they were dealing with Breen? Was like
in the overall story arc this season, you mean?
Yeah, because it took a while for them to understand that Locke was a Breen.
Yeah, I mean, we're on episode 7. I think this happened around episode 3 or 4. It's been.
Oh, shoot. Oh no.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's not like, and I'm just saying that even in the initial war room meeting this episode, he's making comments like, "Oh, they're all alike," hate those guys.
Yeah,
and that he doesn't elaborate. Give your superiors a reason for you saying that, and tell them what's on your mind. Again, it was useful information, obviously. So he should have just spoke right up instead of just being booted out.
I'm trying to find a way of defending them here, and I'm not finding it.
I
Like,
did too, because we're
I mean,
rooting for Rainer, but
yeah,
that to me was a little bit of a misstep for the character and the plot.
yeah,
The other very minor nitpick I have, the biweekly triple reference is made when Tarina mentions a fictional infestation to try to stall the Breen.
yeah.
I think it's time for a new joke. I think we've mined the triple joke factory at this point.
Uh, Spinoff. They're gonna do a triple spinoff. It's gonna be
Oh
like
Lord.
it's gonna be like an interstellar Smurfs or Snorks, if you will. And they're all gonna be triples. There's gonna be like a fat one and like a brave skinny one and like a sassy girl one. Anyway, why am I pitching things to Paramount? Paramount doesn't need it.
No, but they'll probably use it. They see this, so be careful, John.
Better than Prodigy. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh boy, well, I can't disagree with you there. So I mean, that's all I have for Down and Dirty. About you, John?
Fantastic. Down and dirty for me. Yeah, I've pretty much spilled my heart about it. I do like that we are in an untenable place. That is a good place to be with. Now, you've crunched the numbers. 3 more episodes?
8, 9, and 10 coming up. Yes.
3 more episodes left to the entire series. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But just in terms of the fact that this is the the season too. Yeah, boy, things are getting, I have to say, I think the level of elevation of the we keep talking about stakes and I keep picturing high cows. Thanks, Craig.
Love it, Craig.
There's Craig, like Star Trek, triple prodigies. I do love that everything's gotten jacked up. It's not just, there's interstellar Bonnie and Clyde and we're chasing them across the galaxy and then eventually we're all going to end up on a planet. We're probably going to see another projection of the progenitors and blah blah blah. I can predict what's going to happen. Oh no, I didn't predict any of this. I didn't predict the Breen directly being like this huge military power that's involved in this. So now it's Federation versus Breen. That's okay. That's going to be a tough fight. And the Breen are the favorites in that fight. So that's cool. And we've lost Locke. And everyone knows, the people in the story, but me too, that Maul and Locke just lived for each other. So now Maul is in this unbelievably dangerous position. All she wants is Locke back. And they tell her, look, the Breen will destroy everything. And she says, we'll be gone before that happens.
That's right.
And that kind of, that's y'all. That's on y'all. We don't care. We're out of here. Like, that makes sense. And it's terrible. So that makes things crazy and nerve-wracking too. Yeah, I do love that they've jacked up all the stakes and that this adventure has now taken on universal odds, not odds, but I can't think of any word other than stakes. Everything that's at stake is on such a big level right now. So that's a pretty good storytelling. Good for them for jacking everything up like this.
I totally agree. And they did say, we're not going to have like the, oh my God, the galaxy's in peril. It's only Discovery. I mean, we're kind of ending up there, but at least in a fun, somewhat episodic yet continuing way. So,
yes.
The different approach from especially season 3 and 4 is welcome.
Yes, and that people keep meeting Book and they keep saying like, last time I saw you were doing all this terrible stuff in season 4, and I'm happy that exists too, because you can't just forget that. That's a big deal. But as Joe pointed out in the beats, Non does realize, no, he's trying to help. He's actually a good guy, which is what Burnham said. He's a good man.
He's a good man, and of course, the situation being what it was at that moment, we got a dangerous fugitive running the corridors. Hey, put that mistrust aside, unless you just think he would add to the danger,
Yeah.
which was a
Yeah.
possibility in her mind, I'm sure. But she weighed the alternatives and said, no, we need to take her in custody together, and that's what happened.
This brings us to a whole new version of this segment where we try to predict what's going on, because I knew this was going to happen. Dude, I knew this was going to happen. All my predictions are garbage. None of my predictions are going to come true now.
Oh, I've had that issue with myself, John, as you know.
What I'm worried about, I mean, I'm not worried, but what I'm disappointed in myself, because I had said what we don't know about Rayner is going to bite us in the ass, because it's going to turn out that Rayner is like some selfish, fight on his own guy who makes a deal with Locke and Maul, and Rayner becomes like our enemy. He becomes our Javert? No. He becomes the guy who's trying to get away. He becomes a fugitive. That is absolutely not going to happen. That's my new prediction. Rayner is straight up Federation. That's that. I was worried that he was going to turn on Discovery, but now that we've revealed his past and how anti-Breen he is, and how he's basically Major Kira.
Yeah.
He basically comes from a planet that was occupied by these terrible, terrible people, and that's what he's been holding back. That's his secret. I think that's it. I don't think he's going to turn out to be evil or even amoral. I think what you see is what you get, and what you don't see is what you get with Rayner. Does it seem that way for you, Joe?
With Locke gone, I'm going to double down on your original prediction about Rayner. I think he still will betray them. I think he was not allied with Maul and Locke. I think he's allied with the Breen directly.
No, really?
Historically, the occupation of his planet happened. His
Right.
take on it could be entirely fictional in an attempt to steer them away from what they needed to do. And they did lose Maul as a result. And going way back to the beginning of the season,
Yeah.
you know what? He was a disgraced captain. Some of his moves seem to be contradictory to what they were trying to accomplish in the Red Directive initially.
Right.
So I think it's still possible your original prediction could come to pass.
I mean, okay, so one of the ways that they pull the wool over the eyes of the Breen, if you will, there's so many things wrong about that. Pull the wool over the eye of the Breen is he steps up because he worked for a rival Primarch.
Right.
And I guess Primarchs are maybe like dukes, or I mean they have sections, I think, of the Breen Empire.
Well, there's a hierarchy, to be sure. I mean, it's kind of hard to place them as far as how they might be equivalent to what we recognize as different levels of so-called royalty or hierarchy, but they're in, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Higher up.
And so he tells the story to pull the wool over the eye of Rune about this other Primarch. I can't remember her name. Do you remember her name?
It escapes me.
Yeah, something with an L. I can look it
up. Lockerer.
No, it's not Lockerer. Thank God.
No, Lord.
Oh, do you think they buy their sneakers at Foot Lockerer?
There you go.
Damn, I'm the worst. So he does say that this rival, they've been talking with this rival, and I love that whole lie, that whole BS story. And but he did know a lot, and he did say things like, this other Primarch said that I was so good I was almost like a Breen. And we might find out that was true. We might find out that he was. Oh, you've blown my mind. You've blown my mind, Townsel.
Well, I'm glad I can do that, because it's few and far between that I can do that, John. But I've been so intrigued by your original prediction about Rayner. Maybe I just don't want to let go of it yet, but I still think it's a distinct possibility. And we got a lot of drama to get through in the next 3 episodes. I think we'll get in prediction territory. I think we'll get our final clue next episode. I think we've delayed it for 2, and that's enough.
Yeah.
They're
gonna
and I have cheated and seen next week's sneak peek. So we will be getting to the library. We will be seeing the librarian there, etc.
The librarian.
Yeah, we got the little librarian.
Sci-fi librarians are pretty interesting.
Of course. So I just think that would be a tremendous story arc to be revealed in the closing episodes. So
yeah, I mean, they do know how to drop a bomb like every 2 episodes at least.
Yes.
At most, actually, because sometimes they can drop a bomb every episode. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I do love the unpredictability. I do love the big scale. I think they're doing a fine job on this season. I'm still very much in.
Oh, absolutely, as well as I. And my only significant prediction, it basically backs up me wanting to double down on your original prediction. At least I hope, we will not see Locke resurrected. That would just cheapen the tragedy. And I think it will eventually drive Maul to at least reluctantly work with Burnham and the Discovery crew, possibly to enact some kind of vengeance on Rayner.
Oh boy!
If he's involved in what happened indirectly with her love, then she may do a 180 and say, "Hey, I'm with you guys." Now, again, from the same sneak preview scene for next week, we do see Burnham and Maul having a little bit of a tussle somewhere.
Oh, well, so she fights with everybody, that Maul.
She fights with everybody, but and she has fought indirectly with her before. But again, none of these things in my mind contradict what you originally predicted. So let's just see how it turns out.
Now, one last prediction from me. I don't think they can resist. Somehow they're going to bring back Locke. Somehow that's going to happen. It's just Locke rhymes with Spock. We're essentially looking for a new Genesis weapon. That's what I'm seeing here, and I think you are. I think your storytelling instincts are always spot on. So you not wanting it to happen, you're right. It shouldn't happen, but I still think it's going to.
Maybe we'll get some kind of Patrick Swayze knockoff where he comes back as a ghost apparition to steer Maul the right way or something. And
I wouldn't hate
that. My last prediction actually is I think Tarina will become more musically inclined, and she will start to put her lips together and make some sounds, and we'll just have to nickname her Whistle Spock. But kidding on that one, of course. So I should have thought of that last
week. So bad. Did you have any MVPs this week, Mr. Townsell?
You and I have been in an agreement the last few episodes at least. I think we probably will be again this week.
Yeah.
I have a tie for Locke and Maul.
Yeah.
As much as I make light of the plot points during the beats, it was a very touching, very effective death scene. You could see the pain for Maul. You could see, albeit a little stupid to OD like that, but
yeah,
he was not acting intelligently at that point. He was acting with emotion, and he says, "I want to make damn sure that they're going to rush here and give her a chance to escape." So with all that, I think the two characters, and they are a combined team, so it's kind of hard to separate them.
Right.
I would put them at the MVP. I do have a runner-up. I think Tarina is probably the runner-up MVP, just because she's such a cool negotiator and just an overall intelligent and cunning, Vulcan. So good for her.
Yes. Craig, thank you so much for joining us. We can't even begin to tell you how hard it was. This live stream had some issues, and and one of them was he's talking to you right now. One of the issues. So not your fault, my friend. We're so glad you showed up when you could. And I did want to also throw out that I think good Lord, it's gone. I'm so old. It's gone. Uh,
Your whole point
I,
is just a reference in the point.
well, I had something and then I was like, oh no, but Craig's here. Hooray. All right. Now I've forgotten what I was going to say.
Did you have your own MVP, John, perhaps? Were you getting to
Um,
that?
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I do like that we have, you're not kidding, my friend. I still don't know what I'm doing. 3 years
And I
now.
hope to God he never does.
Think how boring it would be if I had any idea what I was doing. No, I think I said it earlier, and you're right. It is Locke and Maul. I'm just amazed at how much I like them. Rayner is still very, very interesting to me. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Nan. Nan's my
Good choice.
MVP of the week. She really acquitted herself well. I couldn't stop thinking the whole time we were watching, Flobo is going to love this episode because he loves him some Nan.
He was a non-fan. Okay, I didn't know that.
Big Nan fan. So, part of this final season, we are revisiting a lot of characters, and I'm just so happy to see that. That makes me happy too. But this all puts us in a position where we once again summon for the Townsville Tidbits.
Got some tidbits for you, John.
I found no tidbits this week, so any tidbits you have.
You're gonna feel silly when I tell you some of them. Man.
Oh no! Hit me where it hurts, Townsville.
Of course, you were watching it in the wee hours, so you can be forgiven for missing a few details. But
I started at 2 a.m.
Well, here we go. Let's see if any of these ring a bell to you. And these are not unique. Not all these are unique to me. A lot of them occurred to others on the web. So, but Here we go. Had no Saru for the 4th consecutive episode.
No Saru. That was a big deal for me. Like Saru not being in this episode. What the hell?
Well, we know now why. In behind the scenes.
Oh, right. True.
Right. He's doing it. He's doing his press junket for Hocus Pocus 2, apparently. Yeah. But he will be back, presumably for his own wedding, if not before. So, good Lord, just get the poor guy to the church on time. Okay. Now, Locke OD'd on tricordrazine, which of course is an upgrade of cordrazine, which McCoy accidentally injected into himself during City on the Edge of Forever.
Is that the stuff that he was buzzed on?
Oh, that's the stuff. God. A more potent version, which was actually used occasionally in TNG, the latter version.
Oh, no kidding.
Tricordrazine. Yes.
Wow.
They gave it to Riker, for example, and the aforementioned Shades of Grey to try to keep him coherent.
Right. Oh, that's so funny. Okay.
Just a admiration here. Dr. Coburn gets a snazzy new medical jacket, which is a welcome upgrade just in time for the series to end. Okay, very good.
There's going to be 2 action figures now, one with the old uniform, one with the new uniform.
You use them once, they're fair game for action figures.
Exactly.
Now, when the Breen first appear at Starfleet HQ, Discovery orders Code 1 Alpha Zero. This, of course, was first mentioned in TNG's Relics, guest starring Scotty.
No kidding. Wow.
Now, the Breen have stayed out of Federation space since the events of DS9 episode, The Changing Face of Evil, during which the Bucketheads laid waste to Starfleet HQ and much of San Francisco while they were at it.
Oh, okay. At one point somebody says, the last time you let the Breen go, they leveled the city. And I was like, what city? I don't remember that. Oh, yeah.
Well, and there is a mediocre Photoshop effort that shows they destroyed San Francisco you can look at.
Yeah.
Shows the Golden Gate Bridge all broken and twisted and everything.
To the mediocre Photoshop.
Well, if I can do it, it's got to be pretty mediocre. And I think I could have done that one.
Joe's really good at Photoshop, so there you go.
Well, thank you, sir. Hey, Rayner suggests using illusory tactics of illusion, such as the Thoron emitters and the Duranium shadows. Now, these are the same tricks that Martok used in DS9's Emissary, or they were used in Emissary, and then later Martok used them in The Way of the Warrior.
Oh, very smart. Yeah.
To make it look that they were more well-armed than they actually were.
Yes. The shadows, the creating other other ships. Yeah.
Exactly right. And to some extent, not the same procedure, but something that Kirk did in an episode of Strange New Worlds to
Yes.
when in the alternate future where they fought the Romulans.
That's right.
Now, Maul suggests that Book should try to sell her some swampland, or I guess it was actually a goat farm, on Bopak 3. Well, this is the Gamma Quadrant planet mentioned on the DS9 episode Hippocratic Oath, where Bashir and O'Brien are stuck with a bunch of Jim Hadar on a distant planet in the Gamma Quadrant.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's a deep dive. Holy cow.
Sounded familiar, so I looked it up. And again, I found other people spotted it as well, but I can't take credit of that as far as initially thinking of it myself. And finally, Reno's noteworthy, albeit padded, resume experience. Well, she really gets around, doesn't she? As Tilly and Adirich point out.
Yes.
So, among other things, Reno was a shuttle pilot for VIPs. At one time, she was a deep mercury welder, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
And most importantly, she has an extensive bartending experience, including taking on a moonlighting shift at Red's Lounge. And as an expert mixologist, she invented the cocktail known as 7 of Limes. And John, sir, those are my tidbits. You said you had none, but did anything come to mind while we were talking?
There was one thing that I found running into Memory Alpha, and I usually run to them to give me my information, which is their information, frankly. Right. And they pointed out that there was a medical officer who has one line in this episode, and she has actually appeared multiple times in the show. Her name is Shelley Owens. And here's what I'm going to do. I am going to share the page. You'll know it when you see her.
Ooh, visual aids.
Yes. And I've never done that on disco nights.
No, disco nights we run pretty visual aidless.
Yes. Yes.
What we got?
So if you take a look at Shelley Owens wearing the big maroon down here in this lower picture, this is where she has appeared multiple times before in the background. She's never had a line before, but as the medical officer, I believe she has a line in this one. Now, can I tell you what the line was? No, I managed to
say, yeah, sure, go ahead. Have my permission.
By the time I knew this existed, I'd have to go back through the episode, and I just have not had the time to do that.
Well, see, that's my fault because you said, can I? I was responding to, may I? So you had the correct answer to your can I question. So, and I was an English major and everything. What's wrong with me? Here, let me
my wrist. Come on. She has been she has not only been in Discovery, but she was also in Terra Firma Part 1 playing the mirror universe counterpart to herself.
Oh.
Even though she's never been credited. She was not even credited in this episode. She is a, I don't want to say old-timey actress. She has been an actress for a long time. She was a former pro ice skater, represented Canada in the Olympics in Jaca, Spain in 1982, performed at ice shows. Of course, Canadians, they love ice skaters. She's been on a bunch of different shows. She was in the X-Files. She was on the series Millennium. I don't know if you remember the old syndicated show, War of the Worlds.
Absolutely.
And one more super cool thing about her, and of course she's beautiful. Yes. She's the daughter of jazz drummer Gary Owens and jazz singer Jeanette Owens, and the sister of actor Chris Owens.
Wow. Now I'm going to be really stupid here, but I want to confirm for at least for myself and others that may be watching.
Yes.
Not Gary Owens from Laugh-In, another Gary Owens.
Exactly. Different Gary Owens. Gary Owens from Laugh-In is Gary, and the jazz musician Gary Owens is Garry.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
one more R. But yes, it would be that's my daughter on Star Trek Discovery.
Our granddaughter in this.
Granddaughter. Let me tell you, when I moved to Los Angeles, I had the same agent as Gary Owens from Laugh-In.
Oh,
And what a wonderful man. Oh my God. Just one of the sweetest, nicest
good
guys.
to
I
hear.
spent so many mornings waiting to audition, sitting beside Gary and just cutting up and having a great time. I have a great Gary joke, but this just does not seem like the place to do it.
Well, we have to do a Retro Rangers that looks at Laughing. That just means that you and I are going to have to appear as bikini-clad beauties with paint all over our bodies.
Groove on. Drop out. We'll have to paint on our bodies. Oh my goodness. Pop art. Pop tart art. Whatever. But getting back to what we're doing here on Disco Nights. Yeah, so the only tidbit that I ran into was that, but I love that. That's actually been
That's a
one of
great one. That's a great
one of my favorite things about Star Trek period is you can be a background. I mean, they used to call them extras, but nowadays they're called background actors, which is nice because a lot of them are actors and they do want to break into the big time.
Well, and they're planting the seeds, and the seeds may sprout into something or they may not. But when they do, it's really cool to look back and say, "Oh, wow, we've had this person around for the longest."
There are many notable actors who were doing that on Next Generation and on DS9, and I love that. That's like one of the great. There were so many actors who ended up playing big roles, like Gowron, and they started as extras.
Right.
Heck. Some of the major characters in later episodes started out. You just said that, John. Stop repeating yourself.
Emphasis.
It's been a hell of a weekend, my friends. And fortunately, our play closes tomorrow, and so half the work that's constantly hanging over my head will be taken care of. Do you realize we've been on now for an hour and almost 13 minutes? And nope, not this one. Nope, not that one. Gosh darn it, John, not that one. This one. And we haven't yet.
ShowtimeZold.com.
ShowtimeZold.com.
Yeah, ShowtimeZold.com. The heat of the fire is blistering. ShowtimeZold.com.
I know this song so well. I can lip sync it anywhere.
And I dare say, an expanded version will come. That's my favorite line. Right there. Well, this end.
There is a full song version of this. We are going to release it. Maybe in the next week, we'll be able to release it. And we'll do a video. It might take a week, might take 2 weeks. Good. Craig likes it too. Excellent.
Oh, good. Thank you, Craig. That's high praise indeed.
I'm telling you. And in the full version, still needs a little bit of producing, but the full version, I think you're going to have some great moments. And I've always loved that little section. So that's why that little section was the first song that we used for Joe. But yeah, when we get the full, played out version of it, that'll be available. I'm still threatening to put it on Spotify.
Don't threaten, make good that promise.
Maybe. And I don't know. I've never tried to submit a song to iTunes, so we could try.
We could try.
All right. So yeah, head on over to joetownsend.com. If you haven't yet, you owe yourself a little trip over there at some point. Let's talk about the things that are happening in Starbase 80 world.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow.
Oh,
This one is I edited this one this week too, and because Joe, I never told you this, but because as we always do, we went over an hour, and StreamYard was like, "Nope, you can't,
Oh,
you can't use it. It's over an hour." So I had to go in there and I had to cut stuff like crazy. Fortunately, it's a good tight episode.
well, as long as we didn't take too much away or anything away from our special guest Flobo voice,
Not a
I'll be
thing.
happy.
Not a thing. You
Good,
know what I
good.
did? And I'll actually let Craig and anybody who's watching, I'll let you in on this. One of the things that I cut out we'll use at some other point, which was
Cool.
us making fun of the trailer for the movie Action Jackson.
Oh yes, that unfortunately that was the first to go for time purposes, but we'll definitely want to look at that at some point in the future.
I will isolate that. That'll be one of our shorts. We'll actually get a lot out of that because that was super fun. But yeah, and it's not just us watching Homeboys in Outer Space, though it is that. But we also get to see the Star Trek Adventure, starring Joe Townsend, and Joe's mom is in it, and she.
And
Just
my
so
aunt,
lovely. And his aunt, Aunt Mary.
Aunt Mary, and Mom Linda, and this will give you a clue if you're looking at the graphic on screen. But Flobo didn't even recognize Joe Townsend. So
You know what's so funny is all three of us have gone through tremendous weight loss
yeah,
in
true
our
enough.
lives, and typically, I mean, this is so like typical. You and Joe have managed. I'm sorry, you, Joe, and Flobo have managed to keep the weight off. Mine, not all of it came back, but
Well, I okay, you self-evaluate as you see fit, John. I tend to disagree. You look great. You look like a strong guy. But we
very
should
kind.
mention also this was due to your very demanding schedule of your play concluding tomorrow, a very successful run. This was pre-taped earlier in the week. But I will be watching it tomorrow night at the regular time, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. So please join me in the comments tomorrow and we'll have a fun time watching together.
And here on Disco Nights, we will be there at 3 p.m. I promise. We'll be there at 3 p.m. I started late today because I messed up. But take a look at that art by Joe Townsend. Oh my God. And Dr. Culber sitting there. Oh, it's just so good. It's so good.
Well, thank you. And and we didn't continue his spiritual journey this week, so it's got to be relevant somehow next week. So we do some guesswork on our promos for Discovery because we are working a little bit ahead on it.
Yeah,
But
we
even
don't
if
know
it's
what's gonna
totally
happen.
even if it's totally irrelevant, great time,
Symbolically, I feel like, Joe, you always capture the fun of our show, even though we can't predict because we do this way ahead of time. We can't predict what's going to happen, but yeah, Joe makes up for it in a lot of fun art.
Thank you
Craig
so much.
says, I would join you, but it's on in the early hours of the morning for me, so I'll have to catch it Monday. And that would be Retro Rangers. And yeah, we totally understand, Craig. It's really late. It's so funny. It's late for the East Coast of the US.
Yes.
You're over in the UK. Yeah, that is the wee hours for you. So sorry about that, but it is a pre-taped episode, so it stands on its own. The live interaction with people watching is always fun, but this particular one, not that important because it is a pre-tape. Joe will be there for anybody who can watch it live. And
Hope you'll
great.
join me, and we'll have a great time because we had a lot of fun taping it a few days ago with Flo.
Yes. Oh, so much fun. And really, it just reminded me why all of this happened. And I know you had the same feeling, Joe.
Absolutely.
Because when you're doing a show with Flobo, he is so hilarious, and he just makes for a great show. Like sometimes he plays along, sometimes he goes against the grain. He is himself. He has his own sense of humor, and it's just really fun to wrangle the he's a comedian, among many, many other things. He's a great host. He's an author. He's a great sports commenter. But he's really funny on this show. And, having edited it, I can tell you there were several moments where Flobo just nailed the philosophy and the feelings and the emotional impact of the things he was talking about. So as you said, Joe, I hope you didn't cut anything with Flobo in it. I cut everything that Flobo wasn't in.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that, because I would hate to lose any of that great material.
Yes. Well, it's so funny how these shows work. So I'm so proud of this one. I know you will be too. And I mean that to Joe, and I mean that to anyone watching. You're going to be very proud of the three of us back together doing a show. It was,
and we are going to cajole and beg and plead that Flobo joins us again real soon.
Absolutely. There were some people there who were there from the very beginning. Craig Lubin was there from the very beginning with us too. And we can't wait to get Craig back when we can. So, hey, and honestly, I think as we get to the end of Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, we're going to have to do some stuff, because, this is our beat. This is where we live.
That's right. We got some great things. I'm just saying we got some great things planned. So I will urge everyone to stay tuned. You're going to love what we give you.
Anything else you want to cover right now, Mr. Townsend, before we say goodbye on this one?
No, thanks, John. I think that we covered Erigah, aka Erigah, very adequately. And of course, looking forward to next week.
And next week, once again, we got it. We might as well use it. We're going to be visiting a library, which in, any other show might be boring. But in Star Trek, when you visit a library, it's usually pretty fun. So I'm looking forward.
We'll make it fun. And we'll make it fun covering their fun.
Absolutely. So why did I keep moving away from this? Let's call it a show.
Good.
Thanks very much for being with us, folks. That is Disco Nights for this week. Joe Dowdwall, you're the greatest. Thank you so much.
John, you're very welcome. Thank you. You're the best as well, my friend.